One of the most frequently asked questions that I see come up time and time again in the Dragon Ball community has to do with the Saiyans, or the Saiyans in the dub, if you want to call it that, and their relationships with their parents. And one of the questions I always see come up time and time again is, why did Goku never want to meet Bardock? Why did he never wish him back? Why did Vegeta never wish back Planet Vegeta? I mean, there's other reasons for that as well. You know, why did these guys always just forget about their heritage? Even though Vegeta always claims to be the prince, he never tries to rebuild his kingdom. And really, I feel like this opinion amongst the fan base is a huge misrepresentation of what these characters actually are. And joining me to talk about this, folks, a man who really needs no introduction. He has many names. You may know him as Gaffer Tape, you may know him as Mr. Fusion, or you may know him as Lance. And we're going to talk about the history of this warrior race, the Saiyans. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on today.
Anytime, anytime. I had to get somebody of extreme knowledge and who's obviously very close with Bardock to talk about this, because Bardock's a big part of this. So let's talk about it. So I think with Bardock, because a lot of people always say, you know, Bardock loved his son, and why didn't Goku ever, like, you know, wouldn't it be great if Goku met Bardock? Wouldn't it be great if Bardock came back in Dragon Ball Super? Wouldn't it be great if this happened? And I'm just thinking to myself, Lance, you don't understand these characters, and I'm just wondering, Lance, is this because of a mistranslation in the English dub, or is it because of something more internal to these fans? Like, what's going on here? Because they don't understand.
Uh, it's been a while since I've seen the dub, so I don't think there's anything in there. Uh, I think in my opinion, it goes back to fan service, and I have no tolerance for that kind of stuff. The same kind of fan service that makes Bardock into a Super Saiyan, and I think that fans want to see what they feel as some kind of resolution, maybe to Bardock's story. And although I think that might have something to do with the dub, where it does soften his character a bit, making him into a guy who cares more about his kid than that. And they want to see the sort of culmination of Goku fulfilling his father's dreams, and then finally meeting and having a warm hug and going, "Ah, good boy, son, you did it."
But that's not Bardock. At least that's not Bardock
No.
in the original story. Dragon Ball Minus, he is softer, so we got to say that. Um,
Yeah, so I
yeah.
so I guess that brings up the question: if he was going to be in Super, which Bardock would it be now? Which Bardock are we going off of? And is it the episode of Bardock that ties into the Bardock special Bardock, or is it this new Dragon Ball minus Bardock? And does that really make any difference at this point?
Exactly, and then don't forget, there's also the Dragon Ball video game Bardock that Mira
Oh,
and
the
Toa.
online? Yeah, the online Bardock.
Kamen no Saiyajin, yeah, the mass Saiyan. There's so many Bardocks. But the thing is, man, is that one thing I want to get through everybody's skull is the character of Goku and the character of Vegeta. Goku loves his family. That's not a lie. He loves his wife, even though he does some questionable decisions that most husbands probably wouldn't do. And of course, you know, he does care for his son. And of
And
course,
and he loves his grandfather.
absolutely because his
His one parental figure, so it's not as if he doesn't have a precedent for loving a parental figure.
exactly. And Vegeta, as we found out in you know, the Buu saga and in Battle of Gods, he certainly cares for Bulma and he cares for Trunks. There is, you know, these guys are not just, you know, loveless husks, but Goku never had a relationship with Bardock, so why would he care if Bardock came back to life? That's been my argument from the beginning.
Exactly. Especially going back to the one time he's really mentioned or shown in the manga Bardock, that is when Frieza's like, "Oh yeah, he kind of reminds me of that guy." But there's no like the narration even says that neither Goku nor Frieza realized that that was his father that he was talking about. So there is literally no connection. Goku has no idea who his father is. He assumes he rightfully assumes he's dead. He never had any personal connection with him, never met him. There's really no reason for Goku to have any other investment aside from curiosity, and that doesn't really seem like something that Goku really cares all that much about.
Exactly. The thing that people have to understand, and I think some of this is the dub and some of it is also the Dragon Ball movies, is that Goku pretty much is a character who just likes to fight And that's pretty much his whole life is he wants to fight. He wants to fight stronger opponents. That's his number one priority. That's what he dreams about. That's what he eats, sleeps, and breathes is fighting. And same thing with Vegeta because of the blood in their in their veins, excuse me. Um they don't really it's like I don't know. I just wonder, Lance, where does this like idea come from that Goku cares about his father? Because even in the dub, even in the English dub, Frieza brings up Bardock and Goku says, "I don't care" to Frieza's face. It's like he does not care about his father. Why is this so difficult for the community to really grasp that? I don't know. What do you
Again,
think?
I just think it's a sort of fan service notion, and I still think it ties into the dubs. And so okay, I don't know if I want to pin this all on the dub because it's not as if fan service the ideas related to a warm and cuddly Bardock are exclusive to the English speaking fandom. I mean, an episode of Bardock shows enough that that's something that certain Japanese fans want too, including Japanese fans who end up writing official continuations.
Lucky them,
Yeah.
right?
Where so I think part of this is possibly more about Bardock than it is about Goku. And to borrow a phrase from TV tropes, I think it's a Draco and leather pants kind of thing, where fans become attached to characters who aren't necessarily all very good people, and because they like these characters, they try to sort of whitewash them a bit
Yes.
and make them more sympathetic than they actually are in the story, so that Bardock can now become a heroic little tiny alien savior, and beat up an ancestor of Frieza and do all these cool things, when in his original appearance he was just some tragic mook who got a little got a sympathetic bend towards him, but was just killed with no consequence, because that's the kind of story they were trying to tell. I think some fans don't really cotton to that idea of sometimes that's the end of the story. They want more. They want these connections to be made. They want these things tied up in neat little bows.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought that up because that was my next point. I think there is a significant mischaracterization of who Bardock actually is based upon the original special. Because let's be honest here, even though Toriyama is the original manga author, he did not create that special at all.
Or
He
that
helped
character.
or that exactly, it's not even his character, and that's the thing. So when you watch that special, some people have this really weird impression that Bardock is this like martyr who's a good guy who cares about his son and cares about his race, when you really examine the character of Bardock, it seems like he only really cared about them after he discovered their fate. If that alien did not zap him in the back of his neck and give him the ability to see into the future, he would not have given a crap about his son, because
No.
earlier in the film or in the special he doesn't give a crap about him.
Oh yeah, I think Bardock is very similar to Vegeta in the sense that he has allies and cares about them based on their usefulness. And so he cares about Goku once he sees that Goku is going to avenge his well, not personally him, but defeat Frieza and thereby in his mind avenge him and his people.
And it's almost as if like I don't know, like the end of that special when he goes in that suicide mission against Frieza, one thing we can agree to is that Bardock certainly does have balls, but
Yes.
right, but that was kind of stupid also. Again, I understand being sympathetic towards Bardock, but I almost feel like a better strategy would have been to pull a Yoda. I hate to say this because I really hate this. Oh, I hate this. He should have left the planet, gone to Dagobah, and then kind of licked his wounds and figured out what to do in the future instead of trying to go head to head with Frieza and end up getting himself killed. That's more of a dumb move than a
Yeah.
smart
Well,
one.
I mean, it would have been smarter, but I think it would have been dramatic death for that story, because it is that sort of I'm going to change my fate kind of thing, and then he doesn't, and that's what makes it poignant.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah, I totally agree from the universe. Yeah, I was stupid.
Yeah, it was. I agree. It is stupid, and that's the whole point that I'm trying to get to. And now another common question is, why wouldn't it be cool if Vegeta wished back Planet Vegeta and things like that? Well, first of all, we need to make this very, very clear. Okay, and this is something that I guess the fans just don't remember. Like the fact that I don't know, 17 came back to life. It's like their memories have been erased, like the Majin Buu thing. Okay, right? All right. It's stated in the manga and in the anime, the rules of the Dragon Ball, which changed a bunch of times too, but the rules state that you cannot wish back a large group of people who have been dead for over a year. You can wish back one person, like Frieza died, was brought back in Resurrection F, but you can't wish back a large group of people. So there's no way that Vegeta could wish them back to begin with. But here's
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Because it's worth mentioning because that wish was already made. The wish to bring everybody killed by Frieza back to life has been made, and they did not come back to life.
there is a plot hole there, Lance, because technically, the wish was Frieza and his men.
Yeah.
When Nappa killed Ten Han, wasn't he technically one of Frieza's men? Dun dun dun.
Well, I mean, you could say, I mean, since they'd gone off on their own to do their own thing, the Frieza did not order them to go to Earth, then you could, say it away that way.
That's a loophole and a half right there. But okay. Yeah, you know what I mean? But you're right. You're right. That is true. No, but seriously, it can't be done. But even if it could be done, I feel like okay. This is how I feel about Vegeta's character. I want to get your thoughts on this. I feel like by the time we get to the Buu saga and after that into Dragon Ball Super and Battle of Gods and all that, I don't think Vegeta cares anymore about wishing back, his race, because first of all, one thing that people need to understand is that most of the Saiyans were dicks. All right, they were not good people. Okay, Bardock was not really a good guy. Goku was a good guy because he was raised by a loving grandfather and he hit his head. Vegeta became a good guy after years and years and years of being a dick. That's the one point that people need to understand, is that these guys were not good guys. For all we know, they would have revolted against Vegeta at one point. That's number one. And number two, I don't think he cares anymore. I think that once he settles down with Bulma and Trunks and later on Brawl, I feel like he just doesn't need to be the prince. He's still the prince because he cares about his heritage, but I don't think he really needs to govern over anybody. What do you think?
I don't think that he ever cared because the one thing about Vegeta that we learned very early on from his very first appearance is what I said before, is that he only cares about people that are of use to him, because the very first thing he does when they find out that they have wish granting orbs is shoot down the idea that they should bring Raditz back to life.
Thank you.
He also shoots down the idea that they should breed with humans to create a new Saiyan race. Because he says that he doesn't want a bunch of little upstarts getting
Yeah.
stronger than him and overpowering him. He cares about his culture only in the sense that in his mind it provides him with a genetic background that allows him to be stronger than anybody else. He only cares about his culture on a very personal level, which is what it can do for him. So I don't see he never has any intention or any kind of desire to bring them back to life because they failed. They're weaker than him. He has no point. He has no need for them. He has no use for them.
So why do you think he always refers to himself as the Prince of all Science? Or like, why do you think that that's a thing for him, in your opinion?
Again, I because that's a very good question.
No, no,
um,
it is. It's
No,
yeah, it's
no, no,
weird.
it is, but I think it goes back into that status. He sees himself as elite. He sees himself as better than the rest of them. He can compare himself to other Saiyans in that sense by being the prince or by being an elite. That is what makes him better. He is what he considers the best race, and he is the best of all of them.
Yeah, and it's funny because in the Resurrection F dub, Frieza has that line where he says, "All hail Vegeta, Prince of No One," which was not in the Japanese version of the movie. It's a fun line, but it's also a little bit like, well, he doesn't really care. Yeah, you killed them all. I mean, I do like the fact that here's how I feel, Lance. Because in the film, Vegeta says to Frieza, I will never forgive somebody who destroyed Planet Vegeta. I feel like a part of him, this is my opinion, all right, a part of him does kind of wish that things were different and that his planet was still around, but I think another part of him has just accepted the fact that it's in the past, but he's also never forgotten what Frieza did. It's almost like,
Yeah.
yeah, if somebody screws you over 10 years ago, you might get over it and move on with your life. But if you see that person again, it's going to bring back those memories of what could have been. That's the way I see it. I don't know if you agree or what you think.
No, I do agree. I think it's like I said before that Bardock and Vegeta end up being kind of similar in their relationships to Frieza, where it's um, more of a personal insult, than anything else, and that's what gets them riled up. He'll never forgive the person who destroyed Planet Vegeta because not because he necessarily cares about those people, but because it's an insult to what he is and to the people who are also Saiyans like him.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, folks, okay, Goku does not care about Bardock. Stop dreaming about them reuniting because it's not going to mean anything because Bardock barely cared about Goku. Goku does not care about Bardock. People are like, well, why don't we see them in the afterlife? Because they're probably in hell. Because they weren't good people. That's again, like you hit the nail on the head, man. It's one of those whitewashed what's the phrase that you called it? You actually had a phrase for it.
Draco in leather pants, reference to the Harry Potter character Draco Malfoy.
I'm really hoping that you end up doing this in one of your dissections, that you bring up that comparison
I probably will.
when you do the
but
Bardock
but
special.
but actually, since you mentioned it, I don't. The way things have been right now with Bardock and his prevalence of being in new media, we say all of this, but I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if somewhere down the line, maybe in Super, they do have them reunite, and I am kind of cringing thinking about it.
I just don't see it happening. I'm not going to give away any spoilers because for those of you who don't know, Lance has not watched Super yet, and there's a lot of stuff that Lance is unaware of when it comes to what they're teasing. Let's just say this, Lance, they are teasing more Saiyans. I'm not going to say where, but
Actually, I think I have heard that, as a matter of fact.
all right, you probably saw it on my
It
Facebook.
might have been, yeah, it might have been on your Facebook.
I feel like a douche now because I forget who
No,
reads that.
it's
It's
okay. I mean, I think it's a minor thing. It doesn't bother me to know that.
they've been teasing it, and I don't know what's gonna happen, but that's one of the heavily rumored people. But I think it's just like you said, it's fans because I don't think it's gonna be Bardock or Broly, or especially not Broly. It's not gonna be. It's gonna be somebody new, I think. But who knows? I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll be Goku's like I don't know uncle that we
Goku's
never knew
third
about.
cousin.
Yeah, find a new vegetable pun. They've covered all the vegetables. What are we missing? Like Brussels? Like what are we missing?
Uh, have we done spinach yet? I don't know.
There you go. We have not done spinach yet. Yeah, we've done asparagus though. That's almost the same thing. I don't know. All right, well everybody check out Mr. Fusion, or is it MistareFusion? I always say Mr. Fusion.
It's MistareFusion.
Mistare. I've been saying it wrong the whole time. But I got it from freaking Juan, Mr. Fusion, based on the
It's okay.
Back to the Future
It
vehicle.
is, it is, it is, it is, it is based on the Back to the Future. In fact, that's where I first used it was on a Back to the Future forum when I was a teenager.
MistareFusion. Go check him out, folks, and check out Dragon Ball Dissection. Lance, what he does is he goes into the Dragon Ball manga start to finish, starting all the way back with Chapter 1, Volume 1, and he reviews it and literally dissects it, covering the plot aspects, what was going through Toriyama's head at the time, and then he also does videos where he compares to the anime. So you'll see kind of what the anime did better and what the anime did worse. It's a very ambitious project, especially now with new material constantly coming out. Even though I think we're gonna get a break from it after Super, right? You'll never end. You'll never finish. But it's fantastic work. Truly a great piece. No, it is, and a great piece of Dragon Ball lore. And if you want to know more about Dragon Ball the manga and the original story and like Toriyama, definitely check it out. I'll put the link in the description below. Anything else you have to say?
As long as we're on the subject, December is what I do every year, Dragon Ball Dissection December, where I put out a new Dragon Ball Dissection video every week of the month of December, ending on Christmas Day. It's probably the most often I've managed to get videos put out, so there'll be three new videos finishing the Saiyan arc, which is where I am right now, plus a video covering the first Dragon Ball Z movie. So please stay tuned and watch that if you're interested.
And a quick update, Lance. I don't know if you were aware of this or not, but there's actually been a huge revelation about Dragon Ball Z Movie 1. According to K17, Return My Gohan is not the official name of that movie like many of us thought it was. It was called Return My Gohan on the back of the VHS cover, and at some point throughout the 20-some years or longer than that this movie's been out, somebody misrepresented it and thought that that was the actual name of the film when it wasn't. This is a new revelation because for like 10 years I thought Return My Gohan was the authentic name, and now it's not. So if you don't have that in the script, you got to throw that in there, and I will show you the K17 post if you want to see it.
I think I have seen it, but I do need to refresh myself on that because I do remember that coming up recently. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
exciting
that's
stuff.
crazy that we're figuring this stuff out. So, all right, well, thank you, Lance, and I'll catch y'all down the road.